Unless you've been living under a rock lately, you probably heard of Embark Studios' latest distraction shooter called Arc Raiders. With a 300k plus player count at the time of this recording, it's one of the hottest games out right now, and it's been having the gaming streets on fire. The game has a PvP PVE style where you go up against NPC robots called arts, and also you go up against friendly or non-friendly players as well. This has caused quite a debate from the community, where there's a section of players calling for a PvE only mode, while there's others trying to get the Call of Duty on and telling those players that, hey, you bought a PvP game, what do you expect? Even though there's clearly NPC enemies as well. I'm here to bridge that gap and explain why the game is fine the way it is, and why there shouldn't be a separate mode to appease either side of the player base. What's going on with all you beautiful people, extraterrestrials, or whatever you want to identify yourself as? It's your boy Rob. Yes, just Rob, back at it with another video, and today we're going to be going over one of the most talked about topics in Arc Raiders, which is the concept of a PvP or PvE only mode. If you enjoy hearing discussions about some of the hottest topics in gaming, such as the vid you're watching now, then you're in the right place. Consider tapping the bell icon and subbing to the channel so that you never miss a vid from yours truly. With everything out of the way, strap yourselves in, hands if you decide to ride at all times, and somebody cue my intro. As I mentioned, Arc Raiders is a PvPvE, which is short for player versus environment. Yes, the game is essentially about going topside to this new world overrun by human-killing robots, but you also can potentially encounter other human players. For the most part in solos, you encounter relatively chill players that are looking to either complete quests, find certain items, or looking to destroy arts in order to craft better parts. Every once in a while, you would get a player who just doesn't give a damn and will shoot you on sight. I haven't run into these type of players that often in around the 60 plus hours of gameplay at the time of this recording that I have, and I can really only count me getting backstabbed a handful of times. Now squads on the other hand is a bloodbath and definitely turns into a shoot first, ask question later type of situation. The reason I think this is the case is because there are more active threats in squads, and also there's more loot to go around. Now I will say, if you're one of those players who shoots a down player as distraction doors are closing, you're a piece of shit. Especially in solos. There's no reason to do that since you won't even get a chance to grab their loot in time. You're literally only doing it to grief someone. Stuff like that can divide the community, which leads to the making of this vid. Right now there seems to be a divide in the community, and it's not huge, but I don't want it to become a bigger issue than it currently is. There's a section of PvEers making their claim that they only want to fight arts and don't want to have to worry about being third party, and there's PvPers basically saying that the game should be treated as such, which in their eyes is a PvP game. So the idea is split the modes so that way you can have two separate ways to play, but here's the problem. Splitting the game will break the core experience of the game. Arc Raiders is not inherently a unique game in the extraction shooter market, and in fact, games such as Hunt Showdown, Tarkov, and The Division all have an element of that PvPvE, but I believe what makes Arc Raiders stand out is that the tension that is presented to you each match. You never know what can take you out and end your run at any moment, ranging from some of the smaller arts like Wasp up to the bigger and more intimidating arts such as the Leaper, and then all this is even more intensified in map events such as Night Raids. If you split that tension in half, there will be less threat on either side. Sure, the PvE aspect will take away third parties, but now you can't do other unique things that the game provides you with, such as throwing lure grenades in the direction of an enemy team, or shooting one of the arts at a distraction site to make it harder for those enemies to distract as well. Without that risk of an enemy team or player attacking at any moment, you take away that risk versus reward factor, and you're basically playing Helldivers 2 on a normal difficulty, which is basically a loot treadmill. There's not to mention that the game was originally a PvE only game, but the devs admitted that the game was quite boring without that PvP aspect, which made them add it later in development. If PvE is taken away, then the game essentially becomes an empty shootout arena. You might as well remove the Hole Cracker, Wolf Pads, all arc items, lure grenades, and anything else that interacts primarily with arcs, because you won't need them anyway. You won't have to worry about how you're properly positioned due to a threat of something like a rocketeer, which could change the entire outcome of a team fight from let's go get these guys to a full-on survival mode. We need the mix because it keeps each match and encounter fresh, and the main thing that can kill the games is if the game becomes stale. Splitting the two can cause slower matchmaking, dead modes, and balancing issues, and we don't need that right now while the game is already having issues such as desyncing. Now let's address both arguments. Sure, PvE only can help newer players learn the gameplay loop and which items are important to grab without having to worry about the stress of someone sniping you. But in practice, this teaches players the wrong game. Arc Raiders isn't designed around fighting only Arc. It's designed around the pressure that other players create, and sometimes that pressure that you experience in matches can only come from those other players. A PvE only mode will cause players to move slowly, loot everything, and play it safe without having to engage with arcs. Let's face it, sometimes the best chance to get some high tier loot is in fact to loot it from other players. I've gotten a Bobcat, Wolfpack, tier 3 combat augments, and a Renegade all from a squad I've encountered in one match with me and my homies. However you feel about the PvP situation, I would not be able to get all those items, let alone one of them, if I would have just been searching lockers all game, and that's just fast. If you take away the PvP aspect, that doesn't happen often. Or how about another situation where I was playing with my squad on a night raid in damn Battlegrounds, where we were heading to a control tower and we ended up getting ambushed by another team. Now, we couldn't quite see them since, of course, it was dark, and we was already alerting the Wasp attention, so we made the conscious decision to just escape and not even fight them. In the midst of me throwing smoke grenades and running, a leaper was right in my face as soon as I turned around, which caused a hilarious chase scene between me and the leaper where I ultimately died. I get it, no one likes going against a sweaty player or a sweaty group, but there are ways to mitigate that, such as equipping medium shields and higher tier bandages, playing stealthily, and not shooting at any arcs you may come across. Again, this game is all about positioning and sound cues, so you need to take that into consideration each time you queue up. Now let's flip it and say that PvE waters the game down. What about the other side? You know, the players who only want PvP. So let's say the game is PvP focused now. Congrats, now almost half of the weapons and nades in the game are utterly useless. You can eliminate the hull crackers, secret nades, any throwable arc items like hornet drivers or fireball burners, which are critical for taking out those leapers. Not to mention the team fights no longer have that extra element of surprise to it, like again having a rocketeer aggro you or maybe a bombardier in the middle of those team fights. While PvP only could potentially make the game more competitive, removing the arcs could also remove that unpredictability, which can make every game feel different. Without the arcs into play, gunfights would turn into a camping, long-range affair, and I honestly believe the skill ceiling will even drop because it'll be more about having a better kit than having proper positioning and knowing when to engage and disengage. The arcs are supposed to be the third threat in the fight, and their involvement breaks those stalemates and can pressure campers. You don't remember those matches where you're just going around wiping teams nearly as much as you would remember having to engage with an enemy team while Wasp are coming at you from the back. Pause. But that's what makes Arc Raiders special, and that's what makes it what it is. And whether you're on the PvP or the PvE only side, there's only one argument that both groups share, and that's the fact that nobody wants the game to die. But splitting the mode does exactly that. It forces the dev to balance for 3 separate metas. One weapon may feel good in one mode, while it may not feel as good in the other. It can cause weapons to be either overly buffed or nerfed. Now this could potentially come down the line, but the game is too new to survive that kind of split at this current state. So after breaking everything down, here's the truth. The complaints make sense individually, but none of the solutions actually make the game better. Arc Raiders is built on a 3-way war between yourself, other players, and the art. In every post-apocalyptic world, there may be a common enemy, but oftentimes, the ones that you can't trust are, in fact, other humans. If you remove any of those pieces, the entire identity collapses. So yeah, in my opinion, Arc Raiders shouldn't be split into different modes, at least for now. Keep the chaos, keep the unpredictability, that's what makes the game unique. But let me know what you think in the comments. Should Arc Raiders stay hybrid, or is it time to separate the PvE or PvP? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you liked the video, then hit the thumbs up button for me on your way out. As always, I hope you all stay safe and stay dangerous. It's been your boy Rob. Yes, just Rob. And I'm out. Peace.